Ancient China witnessed one of the most turbulent and fascinating periods in world history, the Three Kingdoms period. Between 184 and 190 AD, the Han Empire, which had ruled China for over 4 centuries, collapsed under the weight of internal and external crises. What ensued was an era of civil war, where rival warlords battled for control of territory and power. In this video, we will explore the causes, events, and consequences of this period, which shaped the culture, politics, and identity of China for generations. We'll get to know the main characters of this saga, such as Dong Zhuo, the tyrant who seized the capital, Liu Bei, the invincible warrior who betrayed his master, and Cao Cao, the brilliant strategist who unified northern China. We will also see how philosophy, religion, and art developed in this context of chaos and conflict. Join us on this journey through the history of the Three Kingdoms, a time of heroism, betrayal, and legend. The Three Kingdoms period in ancient China, an era of chaos and culture. The history of China is filled with periods of unification and fragmentation, order and chaos, peace and war. One of these periods is the Three Kingdoms, which extended from 220 to 280 and witnessed one of the bloodiest yet most brilliant eras of Chinese civilization. In this time, 3 rival states vied for dominance in China after the fall of the Han Dynasty, which had ruled the country for over 4 centuries. These states were Wei, Shu, and Wu, each with its characteristics, leaders, and heroes. Wei was the most powerful and wealthy of the 3 states, occupying the majority of northern China. Its founder was Cao Cao, one of the greatest generals and politicians in Chinese history, who took advantage of the weakness of the last Han emperor to control the central government. Cao Cao was an ambitious and ruthless man, unhesitant in eliminating his enemies and betraying his allies. He was also a talented poet and a patron of arts and letters. His son, Cao Pi, was the first to declare himself emperor of Wei in 220, officially breaking away from the Han dynasty. Shu was the weakest and most isolated state of the 3, situated in southwest China, in the mountainous regions of Sichuan and Yunnan. Its founder was Liu Bei, a distant descendant of the Han imperial family, who considered himself the legitimate heir to the throne. Liu Bei was a kind and charismatic man who gained the loyalty and admiration of his followers. He was supported by his sworn brothers, Guan Yu and Zhang Fei, 2 of the most famous warriors in Chinese history, and his advisor Zhuge Liang, one of the wisest and shrewdest strategists in Chinese history. Liu Bei proclaimed himself emperor of Shu in 221 with the goal of restoring the Han dynasty. Wu was the most prosperous and diverse of the 3 states, located in southeast China, in the coastal and riverine regions of Jiangsu and Zhejiang. Its founder was Sun Quan, the son of Sun Jian, one of the early warlords to rebel against the Han government. Sun Quan was a pragmatic and shrewd ruler who managed to maintain his independence and prosperity. He had the support of his family members and generals such as Zhou Yu, Lu Meng, and Lu Xun. He became the emperor of Wu in 229 with the aim of establishing a new dynasty. 3 states engaged in numerous battles, seeking supremacy over China. Some of these battles became famous in history and literature, such as the Battle of Chibi in 208, where the Shu and Wu alliance defeated Wei's powerful army thanks to a fire set by Wu's ships and a clever maneuver by Zhuge Liang. The Battle of Guandu in 200, where Cao Cao defeated Yuan Shao, his main rival in the north. The Battle of Yiling in 222, where Lu Xun set fire to Liu Bei's camp, leading to Liu Bei's death from sorrow after the defeat, and the Battle of Wucheng in 234, where Zhuge Liang died of exhaustion after attempting to invade Wei's territory for the last time. The Three Kingdoms period concluded with the rise of the Jin dynasty, founded by Sima Yan, the grandson of Sima Yi, one of Wei's chief generals. Sima Yan usurped the throne of Wei in 265 and subsequently conquered Shu in 263 and Wu in 280, reunifying China under his rule. However, the Jin dynasty soon collapsed due to internal conflicts and external invasions, ushering in a new period of disunity known as the 16 Kingdoms. The Three Kingdoms period in ancient China, an era of culture and legend. Beyond being an era of war and chaos, the Three Kingdoms period was also an era of culture and legend. Many historical figures from this period became icons in literature, opera, cinema, and games, inspiring generations of artists and admirers. One of the most famous examples is the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, written in the 14th century by Luo Guanzhong, which romantically narrates the major events and conflicts of this period. The novel is considered one of the four classics of Chinese literature and has a profound influence on Chinese popular culture to this day. The Romance of the Three Kingdoms is a monumental work, with over 800,000 words, more than 1,000 characters, and over 100 chapters. The novel blends history and fiction, reality and fantasy, faithfulness and invention, portraying the heroic deeds, political intrigues, military strategies, loyal friendships, fierce rivalries, cruel betrayals, and personal tragedies of the protagonists of the Three Kingdoms. The novel is divided into three parts. The first part narrates the decline of the Han Dynasty and the rise of warlords. The second part narrates the wars between the three kingdoms and their alliances and ruptures. The third part narrates the reunification of China by the Jin Dynasty. The novel is based on historical sources, such as the records of the Three Kingdoms, written in the 3rd century by Chen Shou, considered the first historian of the Three Kingdoms period. However, the novel also incorporates elements of legends, folklore, mythology, opera, and other literary works, enriching and beautifying the narrative. The novel also reflects the values and ideologies of the author and the time in which it was written, such as Confucianism, Taoism, Buddhism, legalism, and militarism. The novel also expresses the emotions and aspirations of the Chinese people, who lived under Mongol rule in the Yuan dynasty when the novel was written. The novel is considered a masterpiece of world literature and has been translated, adapted, reinterpreted, and honored in various mediums and genres. The novel is a major source of Chinese opera, especially Beijing opera, which uses masks, gestures, music, and acrobatics to represent scenes and characters from the novel. The novel is also a major inspiration for Chinese cinema, producing epic films, historical dramas, comedies, animations, and even martial arts films based on the novel. The novel is also a key reference in electronic games, inspiring strategy, action, adventure, RPG, and even card games based on the novel. In the next video, you will learn about the Yellow Turban Rebellion, one of the greatest popular uprisings in Chinese history. You will discover the causes, leaders, events, and consequences of this revolt that shook the Han Empire and contributed to its decline. Don't miss the upcoming video about the Yellow Turban Rebellion, the beginning of the Three Kingdoms period in ancient China. The Yellow Turban Rebellion. The Three Kingdoms period in ancient China was one of the most turbulent and fascinating in Chinese history, marked by incessant wars among three rival states, vying for control of the vast Chinese territory. But how did this period begin? What was the catalyst that triggered this era of chaos and conflict? The answer lies in the Yellow Turban Rebellion, which erupted in 184 against the corruption and oppression of the Han government. The Han Dynasty, which had unified China under a single emperor in 206 BC, was in decline by the end of the 2nd century. The central government was weakened and corrupt, taxes were high and unfair, officials were incompetent and dishonest, eunuchs were powerful and abusive, nobles were arrogant and exploitative, peasants were poor and rebellious, natural disasters were frequent and devastating, diseases were common and deadly, rebellions were constant and violent. China was engulfed in a political, economic, social, and moral crisis. It was in this context that the Yellow Turban Rebellion emerged, led by Zhang Jiao, a religious leader preaching the doctrine of the Great Way of Peace. Zhang Jiao was a former official who became a healer and a prophet, claiming to have received a sacred book from the supreme god, the Yellow Emperor. He taught his followers that the world was about to enter a new era, the era of the yellow sky, and that they should prepare for salvation. He distributed yellow talismans that supposedly cured diseases and protected the faithful. He also organized an armed militia that used yellow turbans as symbols of identity and resistance. The Yellow Turban Rebellion quickly spread across the country, attracting millions of disgruntled peasants who saw Zhang Jiao as a messiah and liberator. They rebelled against the Han government, attacking cities, villages, Military outposts, warehouses, temples, palaces, courts, offices, taxes, officials, eunuchs, nobles, the rich, the powerful, the oppressors. They shouted slogans like, "The yellow sky has arrived, the Han era is over, and kill the corrupt, save the innocent." They dreamed of a more just, egalitarian, peaceful, and happier society. The Yellow Turban Rebellion was the greatest and most serious threat the Han Empire had ever faced. Emperor Ling, reigning at the time, was terrified and powerless in the face of the situation. He had to resort to the help of regional warlords who had their own armies and interests. Among these warlords were Cao Cao, Liu Bei, Sun Jian, Yuan Shao, Dong Zhuo, among others, who would later become the protagonists of the Three Kingdoms period. They were tasked with combating the rebels and restoring order. The Yellow Turban Rebellion was finally suppressed by imperial forces after several years of struggle. Zhang Zhao died of illness in 184, and his two brothers, Zhang Bao and Zhuge Liang, who were also leaders of the rebellion, were killed in battle in 185 and 186, respectively. Many rebels were captured, executed, exiled, or enslaved. Others dispersed, hid, joined other rebellions, or surrendered to the government. The Yellow Turban Rebellion was defeated but not forgotten. The Yellow Turban Rebellion was the beginning of the end for the Han dynasty. It exposed the weaknesses of the central government and paved the way for the rise of regional warlords vying for power. It also awakened a sense of change and hope among the Chinese people, longing for a new era. It was the catalyst that triggered the Three Kingdoms period, which would forever change the history and culture of China. In the next video, you will learn about Cao Cao, the warlord, one of the most important and controversial characters in the history of ancient China. You will discover his journey, from his rise as one of the most powerful chancellors of the Han dynasty, to the founding of the Wei Kingdom, which contested with the Shu and Wu kingdoms for dominance in China during the Three Kingdoms period. You will see how Cao Cao was a military, political, poetical, and strategic leader who faced enemies such as Liu Bei, Sun Quan, Lu Bu, and Dong Zhuo. You will also see how Cao Cao was portrayed in literature, art, cinema, and video games, sometimes as a cruel and ambitious tyrant, sometimes as a wise and benevolent ruler. Don't miss the next video about Cao Cao, the warlord, a fascinating and complex figure in Chinese culture.